Have you wanted to learn how to make a living in real estate? Real estate can be intimidating, but with the right guidance, you can begin a successful real estate career. Shannon Robnett is a second-generation builder and developer, fourth-generation realtor with over 35 years experience in real estate. And on his podcast, Robnett's Real Estate Rundown, he shares his experience and knowledge with listeners. Listen to this clip from a recent episode.
And I've always been able to get people to help me bring that dream to life so that at the end of the day, what we're seeing happen is we're seeing a raw piece of land turn into a commercial investment that is of benefit to the whole community. And then out of that, we're able to create a significant upside for the investors in that development project. So after 12 or 14 months, those investors will receive, I don't want to brag, but over 35% return.
Shannon Robnett shares advice that's actionable on wholesaling, fix and flips, single family, multifamily, and more. Robnett's Real Estate Rundown is available on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, YouTube, Podchaser, and Spotify. Add Robnett's Real Estate Rundown to your playlist right now.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. Broadcasting from sunny South Florida, Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Welcome to the program. If you're new here, please follow and subscribe on whatever platform you are listening to us on. If you're watching on YouTube, please like the video. That helps us out a lot. Well, Joe Rogan's a coward. I'm just going to say it. Mm-hmm. He's a coward. You know, President Trump did that huge interview a couple weeks ago, and then people started talking about, well, Joe Rogan should interview Trump. And Joe Rogan has said that he turned down a couple of interviews in the past of going to the White House. That's not what I do. I guess going places on remote, whatever. But this talk of Joe Rogan interviewing Trump, immediately people said, not just us, that this would literally break the internet, more than just a phrase. Websites and platforms would crash due to activity of Joe Rogan interview Trump.
I think it'd probably get more downloads than any other podcast show ever.
Especially now, because Joe Rogan, unless something major happens, is kind of like at the peak of his fame. Mm-hmm. And it would be huge. And Joe Rogan says, no, he's not interested in having the most listened to interview in the history of interviews.
He's afraid.
Well, you know, Donald Trump and Joe Rogan are both in top in popularity in both of their realms. Mm-hmm. It would be the most listened to interview and I don't mean podcast interview. I don't mean YouTube video. It would be the most listened to interview in the history of interviews throughout all of humankind.
Possibly, yeah.
That doesn't mean like over a 20-year period. I mean, that week, that day, that week, the Joe Rogan Donald Trump interview would be the most listened to interview in the history of interviews. It just would. And Joe Rogan is afraid to do it. He's afraid to do it for a lot of reasons, but I think he's
unless they told him at Spotify. Maybe it's in his contract.
That he can't interview Trump?
I'm not kidding. It could be. It could have been a stipulation of his contract that he signed that he would not interview Trump. I would not be surprised.
I don't think so. That's a strange that's a strange thing
world,
to put into a contract at the time when he made it. I think he's afraid. I think Joe Rogan agrees with Donald Trump on a lot of things, and he doesn't want to be put in a position where he's agreeing with Donald Trump. He's afraid that his liberal Bernie Sanders friends and supporters will hear it. He's afraid he won't get celebrity interviews if he doesn't batter the man in the interview.
And I think he's just afraid of Trump.
Trump's unpredictable.
I think he's just afraid of interviewing him.
Yeah.
And I think he feels intimidated by him. You know, Trump's an intimidating guy.
Any man would be intimidated by Trump.
He's imposing, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think he's afraid for many reasons.
Yeah, yeah. But there's no doubt about it, in my opinion, that Joe Rogan is afraid to interview Donald Trump. And it's really unfortunate because I think it would be very informative. Donald Trump does not mind a confrontational interview. He does not mind that. And they would go back and forth. And I think he's also afraid that he can't handle Trump if they start to disagree. You know, there's all kinds of reasons he's afraid.
Yeah, I think there's many reasons.
It makes no sense.
No.
It makes no sense for him not to interview Donald Trump.
Well, he can come on our show anytime.
Joe Rogan?
No, Donald Trump. He has an open invitation.
Absolutely.
We're not afraid to interview him at all.
Yeah, President Trump.
In fact, we'd love it.
You can come to our house and sit here in our podcast studio at home.
Exactly.
It's just a short drive from Mar-a-Lago.
That's right.
We'll gladly come to you, Mr. President.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Call us anytime.
I would be very nervous to interview President Trump. I know what I would ask President Trump about, though.
What would you ask him?
Well, nobody ever asks him about this. But I mean, this, you know, Donald Trump is a difficult interview to do because he's done so many interviews. It's difficult to talk to him about something that he has not commented on before. So you want to try, like I remember after the O.J. Simpson trial, we had an opportunity on the Steve Kane show when Al Rantel was a part of it. Remember Al Rantel, guys? Some of you may. To have Marcia Clark on when she had a book out. And Steve and Al Rantel, a great point. She's done 500 interviews. What are we going to ask Marcia Clark that she has not answered on 200 other interviews? And I thought, you know what, that's true. But I have something.
You can always think of something.
Oh, no.
I don't think that's a good reason.
No. I would have done it, but it wasn't my call. But I thought that was a good point about Marcia Clark. With Donald Trump, he does a lot of interviews, and people ask him about a lot of the same things. What I would talk to Donald Trump about, I'd talk to him about many things, but two things I would very specifically ask him about is, number one, when Comey came to Trump Tower when he was president-elect with the fake Russian dossier and tried to use the dossier to get control of President Trump. Remember, he went with that fake dossier and said, we could either investigate this or it can go away, wink, wink. So I would talk to him about that experience and share that story. I'd also like to talk to him about one of the things that really got him in trouble with the political establishment. When he was president-elect, he had the meeting with – see, now I'm telling you what I would ask, and someone's going to interview him and ask him about these things now.
Maybe.
But that's, you know, that's okay. I'll throw it out. You heard it here first. I would talk to him. He had that meeting with Obama when Obama was still president, and he was president-elect. And President Obama told him, hire whoever you want to be around you, but don't hire General Flynn. And he walked right out the door and hired General Flynn. I would talk to him about that and how does
he regret that decision?
That seems to be when the deep state and the establishment turned against him. And the thing with Comey, I've never heard him talk about that. No one's asked him about that. So I would ask him about those two things. There's other things I would talk to him about too, but those would be a couple of things that I've never heard him get into. Another question I would get into with him is about Mueller. Mueller came to him, so goes the story, to the Oval Office and asked him to make him director of the FBI again. Well, that would have required firing Comey because Comey's time was not up yet.
Right.
I would ask him to talk about that. And then, of course, Mueller didn't get the job and then went and got involved in that witch hunt. So I would ask, I know those things I think he's never really talked about, and I think those are three fascinating moments in Donald Trump's background of his presidency that we have not heard him talk about.
I would ask him why is he such a perceived threat by the deep state? What is it about you that causes them to come after you the way they did?
Well, yeah.
In your opinion, and we all have our own opinions about that. But I would ask him directly, what do you think, in your opinion, why did they come after you so hard with all these fake stories and all these people on CNN, just endless? I've never seen anybody, any public figure, president or not, deal with the kind of crap he had to deal with.
And he's still dealing
24 hours a day. And then I would say to him, how did you handle that? Because any normal person would not be able to handle so much negativity. They would be like, you know what, I'm done. I just can't handle this anymore. You know, we're all human. I'm not saying he's not human, but he has got the thickest skin of anybody I have ever seen. At least, you know, he's unflappable, this guy. I don't think he has moments where he curls up in bed crying because he's upset. I don't see that ever happening. I think he's a tough guy through and through, and I don't think he even worries about it. Well, I think it rolls right off his back, and he's just like, screw these people.
There's a few other things that I'm not going to give away that I would talk to President Trump about that no one has talked to him about, but those are just three big ones for me that I'd like to hear him talk in detail
Well,
about
maybe
because
we'll get the chance one day.
that's when the deep state, the political establishment, that's when they turned against him.
Yeah.
There's some other things too. The biggest thing I would I say turn them against him, and I would talk. This is a fourth thing I would bring up, but I got other things I'm keeping up my sleeve just in case I have the opportunity. I believe what was the beginning of the end. When I say the end, I'm talking about Mueller investigation, all these things, the impeachment and everything, had to do with equalizing the trade deals between the United States and other countries. Like, some of these countries that they would have like a 50% tax on our imported goods, and then we have like nothing or 5%. And the country has been sold out by our leaders since the end of World War II. These trade imbalances were put in place by our leaders, our presidents, our Senate. So I would talk to him about specifically that. Is that the moment when they decided we can't have this guy? We got to impeach him.
He was upsetting all the deals that were made, all the
That's right.
backroom
like
deals.
They got going on in Ukraine.
Yeah, he was upsetting everything.
But I'll tell you this, okay, because I was thinking about this. I was very much looking forward to Joe Rogan interviewing President Trump.
Yeah.
I believe he's a coward because Joe Rogan, the people that surround him, his friends, his his celebrity guest and all, they all hate Trump, and they have an expectation for him to crush Trump, and he couldn't do that.
No.
He knows he couldn't do it. And,
why is he saying he's not doing it?
And it's just not what he's interested in, or I don't know, something.
He's not
something
interested
lame.
in the most interesting man on the planet.
The most listened to interview in the history of interviews.
Break.
No, but this is what I'm going to call for. Okay, and I think this would be, in many ways, better because President Trump would be talking to an intelligent person who I think has a pretty good grasp of the issues, although I do not agree with them on much of anything. I would like to see President Trump be interviewed and go on one-on-one on Bill Maher's show. I'd like to see President Trump versus Bill Maher. I think President Trump.
Bill Maher hates Trump.
Oh yeah, and
hates him like poison.
And
I think he sued him once.
Did he? I don't know.
Trump sued Bill Maher. And
really?
They hate. Yeah, he
I don't know.
hates him.
Well, I'll tell you, it's difficult to go up against a top-tier stand-up comedian, regardless of their politics, because top-tier stand-up comedians are accustomed to hecklers. Like I can handle hecklers with. So it would be a challenge for Donald Trump, but I think it would be a fascinating interview. I think Trump could handle Bill Maher. I think Bill Maher is misguided on a great many things, and I think he would do so much planning that he would fail.
He would never have him on his show because in his mind that would be validating Trump. And not that he needs his validation, but I will say this about Bill Maher. I've always liked Bill Maher. I think he's extremely talented and intelligent, very quick-witted. I mean, I wouldn't want to go up against him, and I don't know many people who would because the guy just has a comeback for everything. I mean, he really does. He's really quick, and very funny. I've always liked him. We saw him live a long time ago. He's very good. I don't agree with him a lot, but I will say this. He is calling out a lot of stuff going on with the liberals lately, and he is spot on, and he's got a lot of guts to say the things he says because, he could be losing friendships over the things he says. People could be, it could hurt his career in some way. It hasn't yet, but he is going against the grain right now and calling out these radicals. And I respect anybody who has the guts to publicly say what they feel without worrying about towing the party line, because that does take guts to do that. And you risking a lot. He could be losing sponsors and it's a big risk. I respect him for calling things out. He's wrong on other things. Don't get me wrong, like on Kyle Rittenhouse and stuff like that. And he can be very cruel and extremely mean, but he does call out a lot of this radicalism. And, he is an intelligent person.
Yeah. So, I'll throw this out to you guys. Let us know in the comments of this program. Do you believe Joe Rogan is a coward who is afraid to interview President Trump? Also, do you think Bill Maher going toe to toe, because it would be a debate, that would be a debate among two intelligent men on polar opposite sides of most everything. President Trump versus Bill Maher in an interview, or can you think of someone who would do a better, and I know some of you will say me, listen, I will never criticize President Trump. I will never disagree with President Trump. Not that he's done anything I disagree with or that I think should be criticized that I'm not sharing with you. I think he's as perfect as a human can be. And I agree with everything that he does and everything that he says, and I always will. So an interview with me would be interesting because I would talk about some of those things I mentioned and a few other things that no one's ever gotten into detail with him about.
Yeah.
And I think it would be interesting, but it would be I mean, come on, I'm not going to give – I'm talking about like an interview, the Clash of the Titans that would set the world on fire. And and that could have been Joe Rogan if he had the guts, if he was man enough to do it. From his studio.
No, he's afraid.
From Joe Rogan's studio that looks like a Chinese restaurant, that new studio.
Yeah.
I think it looks like a Chinese restaurant. I like the old studio. I like Joe Rogan, by the way. Don't think I don't like Joe Rogan. I just think he's afraid.
What about Howard Stern interviewing Trump?
No.
He's too angry.
He's too lowbrow for Trump at this
You think
point.
so?
Yeah, he's not capable of doing it. Now, Bill Maher, I disagree with Bill Maher's a liberal. I do not like atheists. Atheists creep me out, okay? I'm sorry if you're an atheist, but atheist, I do not like I was a big fan of Ricky Gervais. I liked his not just the British version of The Office, Extras. I thought was in many ways better than The Office, and I did not know he was an atheist until I saw his movie on cable, The Invention of Lying, and I saw it long after it came out. And that's when I found out that Ricky Gervais was an atheist. I don't watch his stuff anymore. I just am creeped out by atheists. I'll tell you, I know Daniel Radcliffe's an atheist. I mean, I'm not a Harry Potter guy, but
a lot of British people are.
I guess it's a big thing over there. I was a big fan of Ricky Gervais, but I can't,
I think just a lot of actors are. A lot of people in Hollywood, because they live such immoral lives, they don't want to think about God or Jesus.
Yeah.
It's too much morality. They can't handle.
Like
they don't want to have to answer to somebody.
Yeah, I just don't. I really get creeped out by atheists, So, but Bill Maher's an atheist. I don't watch his show. If you ever hear me play a clip or something, it's something I saw online.
Right.
I don't watch his show. I think he's a very talented, top tier comedian. He's one of the best when it comes to. He's one of the best comedians living today when it comes to.
Yeah, he's good.
When it comes to debate, because I've seen him go up against conservatives, but I've not seen him go up against someone who is his equal or greater, which would be Donald Trump. So
and when he debates somebody, the ones I've seen, he doesn't get angry and lose his temper. He might get a little passionate about something, but he's always respectful of his guest when he has a lot of conservatives on, and he had Mike Huckabee on once, and I saw it, and he said, look, I don't agree with anything you think, blah, blah, blah. Maybe that's changed now. And he said, but I have tremendous respect for you and this, and he was very polite. He's not rude like Whoopi Goldberg is rude, nasty, bitter, angry, just a vicious person.
That's not constructive.
He's more professional and he can handle it. But I want to talk about this Stormy Daniels.
Well, yeah, I wanted to bring that.
I
wanted to bring that up next. And Stormy Daniels was suing President Trump for defamation. And you got to remember,
what a joke! After the things she said about him, he should be suing her.
You got to remember with Stormy Daniels. Stormy Daniels accused Donald Trump of having consensual sex.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a crime these days,
So, which did not happen.
No.
President Trump, everyone knows he's a germaphobe.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. A germaphobe does not go with porno stars. Porno stars are sex workers.
Yeah, no.
And people that are germaphobes don't go for sex workers. And I'll tell you another thing. President Trump has been with, penthouse playmates and top tier people. And Stormy Daniels is
definitely not top tier.
She's not top tier in the porn industry.
She's not even middle tier.
No, and she's but they got a photograph together. So she sued him for defamation. She lost. They appealed it. They lost. A federal judge ordered Stormy Daniels to pay President Trump $300,000 in legal fees, and he commented on this. I don't have. Let me pull this up because he
put out a statement.
Yeah, let me read his statement because it was, as everything else President Trump says and does, it's brilliant.
Well, look
and hilarious.
At these two, her and Avenatti. Look where they've ended up. Avenatti's in jail, another scumbag. They cooked up this whole scheme. She took a picture with Trump, which he takes pictures with millions of people, and they concocted this whole scheme.
Yep.
And he was on CNN all the time. I mean, they were worshiping this guy on CNN. It was disgusting the way they treated him. He was just, the second coming. And now he's in jail because he's a lying scumbag. And now I love it. She's got to pay him $300,000.
Yeah, and what Trump
she has
said,
no money. She's burned through all her money. She said Michael Avenatti took all her money.
She's going to have to start stripping
She'll
again.
have to start going to the strip clubs. Yeah,
But yeah, she's a headliner at the strip clubs.
She's got to be 50 now. That'll be fun.
I don't know. Well, President Trump, though, I can't find the statement here, but I remember it because I read it this morning. Donald Trump said he's looking forward to her paying him.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
Yeah, I mean, that's
you know what he should
$300,000.
do? Not that she needs it. He should give all that money to his wife or go buy her a Rolls Royce or something with that money.
I don't know if it's enough to buy a car for them.
$300,000, you get a Rolls Royce for $300,000 or a Ferrari.
One for Melania? I don't think so.
Give her the money, but you know what? Or take it and just buy her something with that money.
You know what? $300,000
or donate it to charity would be even better.
$300,000 to President Trump is, his golf clubs
like
cost more than that.
Yeah.
So if I were him, what I would do with the money is there are outreach groups, Christian outreach groups that very specifically do outreach to people that are clawing their way out of the sex industry.
That's a good idea.
And I think that would be a great cause.
That's a good idea.
And, Stormy Daniels.
Donate it to charity.
Stormy Daniels, was the talk of the news forever. And now that she lost and has to pay President Trump $300,000, which means he's completely vindicated, it's not even in the television news. No. You can read it online, but it's not even, No,
it's not going to be.
This thing that they have a photograph together, which celebrities take. Today, I didn't tell you today, Kathy. I went. Kathy sent me out on a run to Target, and I ran into 2 listeners on my way out of Target. Okay, so which is nice. I run into listeners. I run into listeners all the time, which is nice. I appreciate that. I like to meet everybody. It's kind of cool. And so here's 2. They seem like nice people. Want to take a picture with me? I don't know who they are. This guy could be like, he could have been in prison. I don't know. And when you take a picture with someone, now you are guilty of being connected to this person. When you take a picture with them and everything they've ever done in their life is on you. It's like when people retweet. If you retweet someone, you're accountable for that entire person's life. Yeah. I was on True Social today, and they don't call it tweeting, they call it truthing. So you don't retweet, you retruth or whatever. I retruth like 20 things today. I don't know who any of these people are.
Exactly.
And I'm accountable for everything in their life. This standard, but I'll tell you, the news, shame on the news, especially CNN. CNN, they should have the breaking news sounder should come on that Stormy Daniels has been ordered by a federal judge to pay Donald Trump $300,000 in legal fees for her failed defamation lawsuit against him. I think that's
never
spectacular.
Never going to happen, and they don't care. I mean, Brian Stelter still is peddling the story that Hunter's laptop story is Russian disinformation. I mean, they just lie. They lie to themselves.
Yeah.
They lie to you and they lie to themselves. They convince themselves because they can't handle reality. Yeah. They can't handle the truth that Trump's a nice guy. Yeah. They can't take it. So they have to live in their, like they think Jussie Smollett really was a victim of a racial crime.
MAGA country.
They convince themselves of these things.
Yeah. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
There are so many germs out there, but they're impossible to detect or see with the human eye. But there's a way to eliminate germs easily and safely wherever you are with UV Magic, available online at buyuvmagic.com. That's buy, B-U-Y. UV Magic can scan any surface for sterilization and kills 99.9% of cold and flu viruses, germs, and bacteria. With UV Magic, you can sanitize all your electronics with no skills required. This is a portable device, so you can use it anywhere you go. It comes with 4 AAA batteries, a USB cord, and is ready for immediate use. It features a sleek design. UV Magic is lab tested. You can use it on anything, and it will kill the germs you don't want around. Buy one for your work. Keep one at home, in the car. UV Magic makes a great gift, too. Order yours right now. Go to buyuvmagic.com. That's buy, B-U-Y, buyuvmagic.com. Do you want to become a better and more profitable trader? If you answered yes, there's a podcast you will want to add to your playlist. The Affirmations for Traders Podcast with Tessa. The Affirmations for Traders Podcast is the perfect companion for your trading journey. Developing the right mindset is important for trading. You want to be more confident in your choices and decisions. With the Affirmations for Traders Podcast, you can listen and apply affirmations that make a positive impact to support you in your trading journey. These are impactful affirmations that It's an important tool to have in your toolbox to help you become a better and more profitable trader. You will learn whether you are a reactive or proactive trader. Learn how to squash those limiting beliefs. Learn self-discipline, and that's just the beginning. The Affirmations for Traders podcast with Tessa can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, and your favorite podcast platform, as well as the show's website, affirmationsfortraders.com. Add the Affirmations for Traders podcast to your playlist right now. Are you ready for a good laugh? The book, Rhyming Around, from author D.C. Dempsey, available on Amazon and Lulu, is a collection of 30 rhyming stories that are not for children. Rhyming Around features over 160 pages of sheer rhyming delight, which range in word count from a couple of hundred to over 1,000. Inside, you will find funny, if that's your thing, and some thoughtful rhymes. Either way, it's an assortment of wacky, sometimes weird, but mostly wonderful stories. No offense is meant. P.S. No people, animals, birds, genies, or pitchforks were harmed during the creation of Rhyming Around. If you want a good laugh, this is the book you've been looking for. The rhymes are clever and nostalgic. Order your copy right now. Rhyming Around from author D.C. Dempsey. Available in Kindle and paperback on Amazon and Lulu.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. Broadcasting from sunny South Florida, Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Not much to say about this, but I want to ask you all this in the listening audience. Kathy and I got a new faucet last year. And the faucets are, I tell you, I feel like Austin Powers. I'm a man from another time, okay? So our faucet stopped working. I mean, the water wasn't coming through it. And I could, and I know a little, I can do some stuff around the house, And I couldn't figure out, the water was on, all the other water was working. Why is the faucet not working? And I did not know this because I didn't put the faucet in, okay? Kathy's stepfather put it in. But it runs on batteries.
Well, it's got a sensor.
It has a sensor on it.
You can you turn it on, and you tap the top to make it go on or off.
Yeah. And if I would have known that this faucet had batteries, it would, and I guess they lasted about a year.
Yeah, they lasted about a year.
But it's not, I spent 2 days trying to figure out what was going on with this faucet. I couldn't figure it out, and there's nothing worse than calling the plumber. That's the fastest way to go broke. Yeah. You'll do better at the casino than you will with the plumber.
They're expensive.
And I just couldn't figure it out. I'm like, what is going on? And then you would mention, well, check and see if the batteries are dead. I'm like, batteries? The battery. So there's a sensor. There's a battery pack underneath the sink in the kitchen, and the batteries were dead. And I changed the batteries, so it was fine. But
was that traumatic for you?
It was. I'm just in shock that faucets have batteries.
High tech.
I don't know if any of you guys have this problem, but I don't know. Now, this is an amazing, amazing thing. Vladimir Putin and the Russian parliament are calling for the impeachment of Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. And this is totally insane. This is another story that should be in the news that they're not going to put out there because they all have the Stormy Daniels lawsuit lost to Trump. None of these things.
You got to go to Gateway Pundit.
Okay, so
they have a lot of this stuff.
So the Azov battalion is that battalion of Ukrainian soldiers that are Nazis. That we've been hearing. This is one of the reasons Russia invaded, Putin says, for the denazification, this Azov battalion. Vladimir Putin and the Russian parliament chair have called for the impeachment of Joe Biden over illegal funding of the Azov battalion. Listen to this. The chairman of the State Duma, that's the Russian parliament, called for the United States Congress to impeach Joe Biden and said this: the U.S. Congress must end the double standard and hold Joe Biden responsible. The Russian wrote on his official Telegram channel, there's no way around it if the United States wants to obey the rule of law. According to him, in 2017, the U.S. Congress passed a bill prohibiting supplying the Ukrainian Azov battalion with American arms, since they're a neo-Nazi organization. They even use the same emblem as Hitler's SS Panzer Division. So this was all banned. In January 2018, a report came out. The Atlantic Council's Digital Forensic Research Lab confirmed that the Azov Battalion was a recipient of U.S. arms, according to the Global Times. So anyway, it's a detailed story. So apparently the United States has been funding and arming these Ukrainian Nazis
but they
that
got
everyone's
mad
been
at,
talking
they got
about.
mad at Trump for commenting on that event in Charlottesville where he said some of the people were good people, and they called him a Nazi.
And he
for
said,
that.
and I'm not talking about the Nazis and the white supremacists. They should be
But Joe
condemned.
Biden is actually giving them military equipment,
Military-grade equipment, too.
and money.
But
that's not as bad. But
two Nazis in Ukraine.
But Trump saying some of the people were good,
and he said, "I'm not talking about the Nazis."
Wow,
isn't that something?
Yeah.
And this is another story, nowhere to be found in the news.
So messed up. You know what they do? They accuse others of what they do themselves. So anytime they're accusing Trump or somebody on the right of something, you can guarantee it that they're doing that themselves. They deflect. They want to deflect off of their own sins and push them onto other people.
Yeah.
Deflect and project. That's what I always say.
Yeah. A woman, her name is Erica Donalds. She got an invite to an event with Joe Biden. And listen to this. She tweeted this. First Lady Joe Biden was kind enough to invite me and other congressional spouses, she's married to a congressman, to a reception at the White House. I just have to take a COVID test. As an unvaccinated person with natural immunity, meaning she's had COVID, I will not be allowed at this party to eat, drink, or talk to anyone. Should be a blast.
Oh, my goodness.
And she released the rules to the party. And they have mask guidance. Fully vaccinated guests are not required to wear a mask on the White House grounds. Guests who are not fully masked must wear a mask at all times and abstain from eating and drinking and maintain at least a 6 feet distance from others while on White House grounds. So why invite these people? But
they want to make an example of them, and they want them to stand out.
Scarlet letter.
Exactly.
Scarlet letter.
That's exactly. These are the conservatives, and these are the smart people.
This
That's how they see it.
This is no surprise.
I hope she's not going.
The Democrats who brought us segregation in our society are bringing it back in another form with another group of people.
Yeah.
The Democrats, everything the Democrats do is about dividing and separating people, not just segregation, like, COVID segregation, vaccination segregation, racial segregation, but by gender, sex, pronouns.
Well,
all they do is divide people.
They did this in the past. They've always done it. They have a God complex. And these people feel that they're saving everybody else from themselves. And it's their duty to save people from themselves because we're stupid and we don't understand and they know better. They're very arrogant, very entitled, and they really feel like in Australia. I saw a clip of Don Lemon talking about that when it was happening and how the people just don't know any better. And it's the government's job to rein them in and to force them to be locked away because the people don't know any better themselves. And the government, it's their job to do that, to protect them.
They know what's best.
No, it's not the government's job to do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they know what's best.
It's not the government's job.
They know what's best.
They think
they know what's best. And if you just will bend to their will, and you're right, the reason that they're inviting people that they have to segregate like this is to humiliate them and try to intimidate them.
I wouldn't
and
go.
make examples out of them.
Her. I wouldn't go.
I would go and I would record it and show how we were segregated off into another area
that might be good too.
By the tolerant Dr. Jill Biden. And I'll tell you another thing. She's not a medical doctor. Even Whoopi Goldberg thought she was a medical doctor, wanted her to be Surgeon General. She really...
I thought she was too.
Impersonating a physician is a crime. And she is implying that she's a doctor of medicine.
Well, let me ask you, if this woman went to this luncheon and actually ate, what would they do to her? Would they throw her out?
Call the Secret Service.
I mean, that's what I would do. I would say, you know what? I'm going to go without a mask and I'm going to eat and have drinks and talk to people and let's see what the hell happens. And then she could go on Fox or Newsmax and tell her story.
I was...
they threw me out or whatever.
That's what I would do. I would go out there and eat. I would eat.
Exactly. And invite somebody to a luncheon, but tell them they can't eat or drink.
Now,
that's just bizarre.
Now, if you've ever been to the White House and you go into... Like, this is held in these little tea rooms and in the dining room at the White House. The White House is 200 years old, and these rooms are small, like the blue room, the yellow room, and the dining room. The dining room is unusually small, in fact. To have this many people at an event and say that you've got a social distance is impossible to do?
Why not have it outside? It's springtime almost. They could have it outdoors, and then you don't have to worry about that.
Well, on White House grounds, so even outdoors, you must adhere to all of these things.
That's crazy.
Well, I want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you so much to all of our Patreon supporters. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description of this and every episode, as well as a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com. There's great perks and benefits to becoming a Patreon supporter, including commercial-free editions of every podcast episode. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you on each and every episode. So the names you are about to hear are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Jacqueline, Rick, Rich, and Nick. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. And again, if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the episode description. I just want to talk a little bit here about the Supreme Court Justice Ketanji. What's her name?
Ketanji.
Ketanji? Oh, my goodness. A Supreme Court Justice named Ketanji?
Yeah.
Is that a strange name?
I don't know. Ketanji is her name.
Okay.
As strange as Kamala.
This woman should be completely disqualified from being nominated. These stories came out. I'm not going to play you the audio of Hawley. I'm just going to tell you about it. You guys can look it up online. But Senator Hawley went through these cases that she oversaw as a federal judge with convictions of not just sex offenders, but the worst sex offenders of, the child pornography people. These are like the worst, right? The child porn people. And she gave them the lightest possible sentences after their conviction that she was allowed to under law.
Strange.
And, I don't think it's all that strange. I think it says a lot, which I'll talk about here in a moment. But federal judges, when someone's convicted, they just can't say, okay, time served, you're going home. They have federal guidelines, and there are minimum sentences that they are required under law as a federal judge to give. They just can't let you walk away like a lot of these local judges do. Sometimes, like they'll overturn a verdict or say, no more time for you. Federal judges don't have that luxury in these kind of cases. And in every single one of these cases, she gave mostly the minimum sentence that she was required to by law, but always far less than what prosecutors wanted and recommended and others recommended after conviction, time and time again. And when she was in law school, she went to Harvard Law School. She wrote a very long, detailed article in the Harvard Law Review about how our society has unfair sentencing guidelines discriminating against sex offenders. And there's one thing I know about sex offenders. Every single one of them will reoffend. And they have done all kinds of things on sex offenders to try to stop them from reoffending. They give them drugs. They have castrated sex offenders. And I don't mean just chemical castration. They've actually physically done it, and they still offend.
Yeah.
They're
sick people.
These guys are incurable.
Yeah.
And these long sentences are necessary. You give them a minimum sentence, and they're going to be back free one day. They will reoffend. Not just the kiddie porno people that she was giving the light sentences to, the minimum sentences to, but any type of sex offender. I mean, you've heard stories. A guy will go to prison for 20 years for rape. He gets out. He goes and rapes sometimes the same woman. Have you heard these stories? It's insane. It's like they will reoffend.
It's kind of like Hillary Clinton's mindset.
Yeah, and the thing with her is, the Democrats as a group are soft on crime. We all know this. We talk about it all of the time. They're soft on crime.
True.
No doubt about it. But this is different. This isn't just your general liberal who's soft on crime. This is someone who has some emotional in my opinion, someone that she knows. I don't know who, and I'm not suggesting it's anyone in particular, but someone that she has a personal connection with or had a personal connection with at some point in her life. And I'm going to say it was before she went to law school because she wrote that article in the Harvard Law Review. Someone that she has a personal connection to at some point in her life is obviously a sex offender. And she has empathy for them because she knows of someone. the only people that have sympathy for sex offenders are sex offenders, other sex offenders. I have never heard someone, she's almost like a sex offender advocate, giving them the minimum sentence that she's allowed to under the federal law. And they're going to talk in the hearing about the light sentencing, and she's going to give an excuse, but no one's going to get to the heart of what we're talking about right here. And I believe that she has some emotional damage over this and prejudice that makes her unqualified to be a judge of any kind, because at any point in time, this is not being light on, like for example, a lot of liberals believe that the sentencing guidelines about crack cocaine are unfair because they're harsher than powder cocaine. And they view it as a racial thing because crack is done mostly by poor black people, powder cocaine seen as rich white people in the 80s. Crack is worse than powder cocaine because it's cheap and more accessible. So more people can do it, and it can affect, powder cocaine's bad too, but it's so much more expensive. It's not.
Mm-hmm. So, and they say crack's more addictive too.
Yeah. And when we were like teenagers in middle school and high school, when that crack epidemic was going on, and it was a pretty scary thing. But you could make a case, okay, that's unfair, right? Cocaine is cocaine. Powder cocaine, people are getting less time than some guy with a couple of rocks. Come on, there's okay, that's different. This is different than what she's doing. Mm-hmm. She was giving the minimum sentences allowed by law to the worst types of sex. All sex offenders are bad, the worst of our society, but to the ones with child pornography and stuff, which are the worst. So I think she's got some psychological issues that makes her incapable to be a judge because of that. And
they'll push her through anyway. The liberals don't care.
She's going to get on the court. Yeah, I mean, that's just a given, and nothing's going to stop it.
Could you imagine if she was recommended by Trump?
Oh my goodness!
And she was a conservative.
And this came out.
They'd be the media.
Like this was Amy Coney Barrett.
Absolute meltdown.
And you know what? And they would be right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's no way that this did not come out during the vetting process, that that they did not know about this and they put it through anyway. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there is a lot more to talk about. Do not go anywhere. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
Hi, Brian Craig here. I'm in studio with my wife, Kathy, and she's here to tell you about her experience with the MyPillow mattress topper.
Well, as you know, Brian, I was waking up in pain almost every morning for years and years, and we had bought a new mattress not that long ago, but it still was not doing the trick. So I said to you, let's get the MyPillow mattress topper, and let's see if it helps or makes any kind of a difference. And I have to tell you, after sleeping on it just one night, I woke up, no pain. I felt incredible. It made a huge difference for me. And the pain has not returned.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. Now go to MyPillow.com and order your MyPillow mattress topper and do what Kathy and I did. Use the promo code KANE at checkout, KANE. And this is an incredible deal because with the promo code KANE, you will save 30% off the MyPillow mattress topper and get 2 free MyPillows. But you've got to use the promo code KANE at checkout, KANE. It comes in every size too, from twin all the way up to California King. That's promo code KANE, KANE, at MyPillow.com. You know how important it is to have a good credit score. Has bad credit stopped you from living the life you want to live? There is help. If you want to repair your credit once and for all, there are 2 websites you need to write down right now. The first, smartcredit.com/PID =56179. Smartcredit.com/PID =56179. There you will find a link to pull up 3 bureau reports for just $4.99. This is a 7-day trial rate. It also gives you the opportunity to check for identity theft, offers a score tracker, a score builder, and score boost. Plus, it comes with a $1 million insurance policy. The second link you need to know is pecuniarycoach.com. That's PECUNIARY Coach.com. The pecuniarycoach.com brings your finances to life and will help improve your financial fingerprint. You'll find credit services, consultations, strategies, and money tips. It's time to control your future and your credit score to start living the life that you and your family deserve. Visit smartcredit.com/PID =56179 and pecuniarycoach.com. That's PECUNIARY Coach.com. Are you a tea lover? SteepLeaves.co was created by a fellow tea lover. In fact, the owner of SteepLeaves.co believes there's a cup of tea for everyone, and they hope to aid in helping people truly discover their perfect cup of tea. SteepLeaves.co have a great variety of black teas, green teas, herbal and fruit teas, white tea, as well as tea accessories. If you're a tea lover or know someone who is, you need to shop at SteepLeaves.co. Make sure to join their email list so you can stay up to date on seasonal teas, as well as new offers. Don't miss out on their best-selling loose teas. They're flavorful, rich, aromatic, and delicious. Start shopping right now. SteepLeaves.co. Share the link on all of your social media so your friends can find their perfect cup of tea too. SteepLeaves.co.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Listen to this, Ron DeSantis. Listen to this. Our governor, our great governor here, broadcasting live from Ron DeSantis' Free Florida here. Listen to this. Florida's Republican Governor, Ron DeSantis, this is in Breitbart, Florida's Republican Governor, Ron DeSantis, has proclaimed Olympic silver medalist and Florida native Emma Y. Ant to be the true winner of the NCAA 500-yard freestyle championship, despite being beaten by transgender swimmer Leah Thomas last week. So, I mean, this guy, Ron
So what does that mean for her?
It means that Ron DeSantis said she really came in first, not second. That's pretty bold thing there for DeSantis to get involved. Absolutely. I love DeSantis.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Isn't he great?
Yeah,
Ron DeSantis, we're so lucky to have him as our governor.
Yeah, he's amazing.
You know, we've had, I mean, I can remember many governors, okay? And we've had a lot of governors, you know, throughout our lives, both Kathy and I. There's never been one like Ron DeSantis.
No.
I mean, he just, and some of the governors, like when we were kids, were like Florida good old boys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were deep South, old good old boys. No one was as tough as Ron DeSantis. And Ron DeSantis is more of a good old boy than people think. He wears cowboy boots with his suits and everything. He's an old Florida
he is.
good old boy.
He's a Florida native, and he's a Florida good old boy for sure.
But he does not care. He's like Trump.
He's had quite a life. He really has.
Now, this Don't Say Gay bill, I'm not going to go through a whole thing about it, just give you a little capsulized thing. All it said was from pre-K up till third grade, no discussion of sexuality and gender.
I think that's totally reasonable.
From fourth grade on, you can do basically whatever you want. And I think so too. And you know what? So does everybody else. That's reasonable. And it doesn't even say gay in it. This Don't Say Gay thing.
Not even
it was
like
so
calling
strange.
it that. It's not. That's not the name of the bill. It's ridiculous.
I know. What else are we going to call it?
Yeah.
That's what it's known as.
That's what they've dubbed it.
Democrats are not good at a lot of things, but they are good at messaging and marketing. And now they've got all of us calling it the Don't Say Gay bill when it's not even that, because we don't know what else to call it. And they're having a big problem at Disney World, okay? Disney World, I'm going to read this article here to you in a minute, but employees of Disney World here in Florida, which is in Central Florida, they're just freaking out. Now, Florida is a conservative state. We have had a completely Republican state with a Republican governor and Republican legislature since 1998 when Jeb Bush first became governor. So that's 24 years of – there's a strong conservative state. There are pockets of liberals. One of them is the Orlando, Florida area where the theme parks are located, including Walt Disney World. And before DeSantis, Orlando was considered a sanctuary city. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine? In this great state, DeSantis ended the sanctuary city thing. But anyway, the employees of Disney are very upset over this Don't Say Gay bill. You know, you can't, you know. And listen,
I think they have a bigger problem at Disney, like hiring pedophiles.
Yeah, they just had
I mean, they got a lot of damn nerve getting mad at DeSantis and us over a bill that doesn't let you discuss sex to freaking 5-year-olds. Yeah. And they're hiring pedos. I mean, I'm sorry. There was liberals. Make no sense to me.
Yeah, there was
no sense.
There was a big sex offender bust in Central Florida last week, and some of them were employees of Walt Disney World here in Florida. Now, this is in Deadline at Deadline.com. as many of its LGBTQ plus employees get set for a full day walkout, which was supposed to be today.
Yeah, I wonder what happened.
Yeah, this is still playing out. Disney has decided to postpone a management retreat set for next week as it continues efforts to calm internal waters. News of the postponement came as Disney CEO Bob Chapek conducted a town hall meeting for all employees Monday. The exec is continuing to try to put the company on more stable footing after a response to Florida's Don't Say Gay bill met with fierce backlash internally with Disney employees and in influential pockets of the talent community. All of the company's three major content suppliers, which is Marvel, Pixar, and Lucasfilm, have been publicly critical of Disney's handling of the situation. During the town hall, Chapek, he's the guy that runs Disney now, repeated his expression of regret about the company's decision not to take a public stance against the bill, given the large number of its employees it affected. Not one employee of Disney was affected by this unless they have employees that are
in first grade.
In pre-K through third grade. Okay.
And I would venture to say most of the gay employees at Disney do not have children.
No, because they're young. They're
younger.
Yeah, and
gay, and a lot of gay couples don't
so
have
it didn't
kids.
Affect
it's not
any,
as common as
it didn't affect any employees.
Yeah.
According to one attendee of the corporate town hall, Chapek conceded that Disney's silence was not just about Florida. He agreed Disney should stand up more for the LGBTQ plus community in pursuit of more meaningful and lasting change. The Parental Rights and Education Bill has passed the Florida legislature, awaits the signature of DeSantis. It's called the Parental Rights and Education Bill. But if we say that, no one will know what we're talking about. So the walkout, we don't know.
This is a pure example of how the media has relabeled something and given it, rebranded something.
Very successfully.
Very successfully because everybody uses that term now. But you know what? Bob Chapek, I think there's something more nefarious going on here. I think somebody wants him out. And I think they've created this. They've gotten their gay employees all upset over this
so Kathy,
as a way to get him out of here.
Kathy and I didn't talk about this before, but Kathy stole my thunder about what was going on here.
I guess we think alike.
We must think alike, Kathy. Okay, so
I didn't know.
Now let me tell you, I made a last year. These employees at Disney World, because we go to Disney World. Okay, I'm an annual pass holder.
You go more than me. I haven't been in a couple of years.
Yeah, but I go with our daughter, and we're annual pass holders to Walt Disney World. It's in Florida. How can you not be? And when the Walt Disney World park, Disney World reopened after COVID, and they dropped the mask mandate, I went to Disney. And I made a vlog that's on my YouTube channel. And I wore my MAGA hat, and it was the first day that Disney was open without masks being required to wear anywhere. So I wore my MAGA hat at Walt Disney World all day. I got nonstop compliments from employees all day long, from the time I set foot on Disney property till I left. And they would say things, love your hat, like your hat. Some say, hats are a big thing at Disney World. A lot of them said, you have the best hat in this park today. I heard that from a lot of people.
Wow. From the cast members.
From people that work in Walt Disney World, that work on rides, that work in the restaurants, that are walking around on the streets. I got nothing but compliments on my. Now I did not put.
They didn't spit on you?
No, they were, and they did. You know what? They don't have to compliment you on your hat.
They don't.
I go to Disney World all the time. This was the only time I had been complimented on a garment that I was wearing. Okay, and it was amazing. And this is a very conservative state, and the people that work at Disney World are conservative more than you realize.
I think so.
And this idea that, and I'll tell you another thing about the Disney workers, okay? And I when I go to Disney World, I wear MAGA stuff. In fact, I'm going to go back up soon and make a vlog for my YouTube channel about is the Disney World park really woke? Because there were some things there that I think people would be surprised are there in 2022. But another thing about the employees, and when I say compliments, I mean nonstop all day compliments on my MAGA hat when I was at the park that day. I was really blown away by that. And they don't have to say anything nice to you about your hat. Okay. Another thing about the Disney employees, okay, they're in conservative Florida. A lot of them are conservative, obviously, by the hat compliments. But Walt Disney World was shut down for a long, long time. And when they reopened, it was reopened to limited capacity with limited employees. And the employees are very, very happy to be working again at Walt Disney World because they were out of work for a long time, and many of them didn't get hired back. And what Kathy said is spot on, right on the money. The Bob Chapek, who leads Walt Disney World right now, he took over from a guy named Bob Iger, who's really an amazing person. He's a liberal, but he used to work on Wide World of Sports with Howard Cosell and stuff. Pretty cool. This new guy is a total failure. In fact,
yeah, he is.
They had before
nobody likes him. Nobody.
No, before this, don't say the employees hate him and attendees of the Disney parks hate him. Before this,
he's a PR disaster.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, he's a disaster for a lot of reasons, which we're not going to bore you with, because you guys don't care about Disney. But before this, don't say gay bill thing, before anybody even heard of this, there was an event not long ago, right before this became a story, at Disney World, where Bob Chapek was going to come out and address the employees as well as park attendees like us. He didn't do it live. He did a pre-recorded message, and this leaked out from Disney. He was afraid he would be booed because he's very unpopular. So what Kathy said is right on the money. The CEO is about to be fired. Okay, he's about to be fired. So what he's doing, and there are people that are pushing to get him out. So what they've done is they've stirred up fake news. Mm-hmm. There are not large numbers of Walt Disney World employees who are upset over Disney stance.
Probably more like 2.
Or maybe really none, and some this is fake news by the people that are trying to get rid of him by branding him a homophobe.
I think so.
And
this is corporate espionage.
Yeah.
Kind of
now
thing.
I know a lot of you say, "Well, Disney's
or sabotage."
Yeah, I know a lot of you will say, "Well, Disney's liberal." The Disney Corporation headquarters is located out in California. Yeah, they're liberal, but with the way the news is being presented, that all these people that compliment me on my MAGA hat, tell me it's the best hat in the park, and they love my hat, are now going to walk out over the "Don't Say Gay" thing. Are you kidding me? It doesn't make sense, and it's all fake news. Don't believe it.
Well, I'm going to watch the local news tonight because they do cover Disney news, and I'm going to see if there's any footage of some massive walkout. But maybe there will be, maybe there won't be. But what I'm saying is, somebody organized this. A lot of people don't know they're being offended until somebody points it out. And I think somebody made a big deal about this and got people riled up because they want this guy out. It's a way to manipulate people and the media to get rid of this guy because he might have an ironclad contract.
That's right.
And in today's cancel culture, this is the best way to get rid of somebody.
Well,
is something like this. And they've offended a group. They're out.
And there's one other thing in play here, okay? And I'm just going to talk about this briefly because we're almost out of time, but this is important. Ron DeSantis is the most, next to President Trump, he is the second most popular Republican in America. And here in Florida, this man is loved. I mean, if Ron DeSantis could walk up to any person's home in Florida, knock on the door, they're going to open up the door and hug him. Okay,
and invite him in for
invite him in. Yeah, exactly, and he'd come in probably.
He's awesome. Yeah, we love him.
Everyone loves Ron DeSantis.
He is the hardest working governor I have ever. Literally, he's in a different city every day, and his I don't know if his family's traveling with him like they were because his wife was going through chemo.
Yeah, she beat the cancer.
But his kids and his wife were with him. Every day he's literally in a new place. He probably just goes home on the weekends to Tallahassee, and he's giving speeches. He's opening places. He visits restaurants. He goes to Little League games and local high school football games. I mean, the guy is the hardest working governor we've ever had.
But this is there's two stories that are going. Florida is not just a tourist state. There's a lot of agriculture and other things, but primarily Florida is a tourist state. Walt Disney World is the number one tourist destination on the planet. It's just a fact.
I think Florida is probably the number one tourist state right now in the country.
Exactly. I don't know
Nobody's going to California.
I don't know what percentage of the Florida economy is tourism. versus other industries, but it's a big percentage of it.
It's a big chunk.
And if you look at the news today, there are two major stories in the news cycle this week that will have a dramatic effect on Florida's tourist economy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is about hurting Governor DeSantis. One, this thing in Disney, okay? A lot of people are going to say, you know what? I'm not going to go to Disney. I'm not going to support this liberal company with these militant gay activists. I'm not going to go there. I'm here to tell you, the compliments on my MAGA hat show you that the people that work in the parks are MAGA, okay? I'm not saying there's not liberals there, but they're not active walking out, okay? This is a fake thing. But if and the other story is the Black Spring Break in South Beach, a state, the Miami Beach, South Beach is another big tourist destination. Not anymore. It's like south side of Chicago, murder rate down there, and they declared
really bad.
They declared a state of emergency, and so
Miami is not a nice place
so
like
you've
it
got,
used to be.
Well, you've
in
got
the 50s and even the 80s,
even in 90s and 2000s.
Yeah, it's just not.
So the top two tourist destinations in Florida. One is Walt Disney World. Second is Miami. And you think it's a coincidence that the national news is obsessed trying to discourage tourists from coming to Florida? Tourists don't come to Florida. That hurts Ron DeSantis. They hate DeSantis. And a lot of this has to do also with hurting Ron DeSantis by damaging the tourist economy. No, he's invincible. But listen, we're out of time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We will talk to you next time.
If you're looking for a cool podcast to listen to, you need to add the Shop Truck Mafia podcast to your playlist right now. They interview a wide variety of people on each episode. The Shop Truck Mafia podcast is about trucks and the people that build them or have built anything fabrication related. They also talk about car and truck shows that are on YouTube, from your big shops to your small shops. If you're into cars, car and truck shows, as well as builds, the Shop Truck Mafia podcast is for you. You can listen on Apple Podcasts and also find them on Instagram at Shop Truck Mafia. Add the Shop Truck Mafia podcast to your playlist right now.